Buenos días, mi gente, and welcome back to another episode of Vino y la Verdad, hosted by the ladies of One Wisdom 5. Hi, ladies. How are you?
Hey!
How you doing?
Good. And you?
Good. So today's topic is the importance of self-love.
Woo, great topic.
Love it.
What do you guys think about that?
It's super important. It's important to give yourself that love. You know, sometimes we expect that love to be given and we depend on that. And then we also give love, but I don't feel we give the right love until we start loving ourselves.
Amen. Hallelujah. Cheers to that, sister.
Yes.
Cheers.
Isn't it true?
It's true.
Yes.
I agree with you 100%.
And it takes a while. It takes a while to get there. You just don't automatically be like, oh, you know.
I'm going to love me today.
Huh? Yeah.
I'm going to love me today.
Yeah.
I think that also comes over throughout time and over the different experiences you have.
Absolutely.
When you expect to get that understanding for yourself from someone else.
Right.
Absolutely.
We gotta learn to love ourselves first, like Jessie said, before we can even give someone else true love, right? Because if we don't love ourselves, how can we give someone else love? Like,
It's true.
you know, hey, you know, like, and it's not about being selfish, because it's not selfish. It's just so necessary. It really needs to be number one on everybody's list of love. Self-love is so important, so needed first before you can love anybody else.
Right.
That's
And
true.
it comes in different forms, you know, like some people ask, like, how do you give yourself love? Listen, going to do your petty and mani is self-love. Going to reading a book by yourself.
Yes. Self-improvement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going to the beach by yourself.
Yes.
It's just your mental health.
Shopping is the best therapy in the world.
Well, then that's the case. Then me and Jessica should be A-okay.
You know?
Chocolate.
Oh my God. Maybe that's why I'm so great.
Having a glass of wine. Having a glass of wine, you know?
That's true. Having a glass of wine.
But always in moderation, right? The shopping,
Claro.
the wine, you know, all of that in moderation.
Claro. Hi, guys. Welcome back. So with us today, we have the amazing Jennifer Zoga from Queen Warriors and motivational speaker. Welcome, Jennifer.
Here I come. What a bunch of like I just feel the love, like the energy. This is so exciting.
And we haven't even started drinking wine yet. This is
Yes.
I missed the memo.
This is our normal energy. So thank you so much for joining us. We are all followers of Queen Warrior, and we love what you do. I believe your sister is the one that runs, right? Fabiana is the starter of Queen Warrior. We love your mission. We love your message. We love what you guys stand for and what you're all about. It's amazing how you guys have managed to transform so many people in such a short amount of time. And the fact that you guys cover so many different aspects of a person, you know, from fashion to, you know, coaching, you know, to workouts. It's just amazing. And so today we're talking about self-love and the importance of self-love. And I want to know, what is it how you guide your followers on getting onto that path of appreciating themselves and introducing themselves to their own self-worth and self-love?
Yeah, so my journey starts way back, like my self-love journey. And I know like a lot of you guys who tune into like my coaching, like through Queen Warriors, you guys get to hear my story constantly because I know I get new people and I want to make sure people understand like how far we can go if we just kind of commit, right? To just commit to just pouring love. And it's funny because earlier somebody said, I want to learn how to accept my body and accept myself, but it's like, no, you don't have to worry about that, right? You worry about that later. You start to just make a commitment to say, I'm going to love myself, right? Now, the way I got my following base, obviously, I launched myself a little bit after my sister. We always do things together. Like she inspires me. She's like, are you ready? Like to launch. And a part of it was also my husband, because my husband, my sister, and a really good friend for years, they were like, you need to be a life coach already, And I was just like, no, like, I'm good at loving people and that's good. Like, that's all I'm going to do. Like, I can just love people.
De lejito.
Yeah, like, and then I used to doubt myself too. And I'm like, who's going to pay for me to love them when they can have somebody already love them, right? And I didn't understand like the power of that. So I remember, first I like went off to school because I had loved on all these not college kids, they were high school students, and a lot of them went to college, and they were like, we're so thankful, for your support, for believing in us. And I'm like, okay, then now I need to do something else with my life. They're already gone. I'm an empty nester without these high school students that kind of gave me a sense of purpose, right? It feels so good to see them finally launch. So that's when I went into my journey to be an academic advisor, but that program ended up being a counseling program. And in that counseling program, I was forced to get to know me. And I was forced to like practice counseling on myself. And it was like such a horrible, painful experience, but a good one, right? Wow. Because I was healing and I didn't even understand, but it was so much. And even throughout my healing process, I also started to look at my mom differently, right? Because for so long we look at our moms. Well, I looked at my mom with a lot of anger, resentment, despite her always sacrificing, but I didn't understand why she did the things that she did. But fast forward, to the future, to the present, I launched myself, because I had all these skills, and I'm like, I've already been trained, like scientifically and properly to help, people, but my niche was just women. I'm like, I don't want to work with men. I want to work with women. So I think that when my following base, besides having the support of my sister, my following base, a lot of it came from just being authentic to myself and understanding what were the needs that I would have wanted when I was going through my transitions, and what were the things that I would have wanted someone to tell me when I was at my lowest. And so that's kind of where I started with my page. I'm like, I need to say the things that I needed to hear. And that's kind of like where my journey started, and I started growing my following base. And a lot of the people, and I like to stay authentic to who I am, because a lot of people tell me, you need to do this because this is what's trending and this is what's going to get you the most followers. And I'm like, no, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. And I want people to follow me because they align with who I am, because that means that if I'm pretending to be something that I'm not, these followers we're not going to vibe. We're just not going to vibe, because that's just what it is. That's what alignment is, right? You attract exactly who you are. And I want it to be an organic, authentic space. And I wouldn't call it safe space, right? I want it to be a brave space where people can vent and say, oh my God, she's speaking to me. And that's kind of like, I hope I answered your question.
No, wow. Beautifully.
Absolutely. Can Jennifer, I just say something? Okay. So I've been part of the Queen Warriors for a year now, almost a year. In July will be a year. And in the past, I will get so upset if my phone went off at 8 a.m. Now I'm the happiest person when that phone goes off at 8 a.m. with your morning affirmations. I'm like, oh my God, it's Jennifer's affirmations. I gotta watch this. It just sets the whole mood for the day to a different level. So thank you so much. I'm sure at this point in your life, how many lives you change and touch, but you're truly a blessing. You're truly a blessing, because we're all human, right? And we're all going through different things every day. And sometimes that is so needed. That little bit of, light that you give is like so good, so valuable. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you. And I speak from my heart. And I also, you know, I always give credit to God, right? Because he gave us all of these gifts. And I'm just thankful because a lot of times, you know, we have these gifts and we're so scared to step out, right, out of our shells. But honestly, the moment that we just commit to just unleashing, like we literally are aligned with exactly what we were meant to do in this world. So thank you.
Jennifer, I have to say, when you listen to somebody and I'm listening to you, and then you said you changed safe space into a brave space, and I stopped listening and I sat in that, because that is exactly what it is. And thank you for rewarding that, because that made me feel even more empowered. Like, okay, it's not a safe space. It is a brave space, because you're really spilling yourself and you're sitting in your stuff and you're recognizing things and you're mending and you're understanding things better. So about yourself. So
thank you. And you know what's really beautiful about the brave space, when everybody has the courage to finally express, it's insane, like the energy, right? Somebody shares a story and then somebody else comes up and says, hey, I have the same story and now I don't feel alone. I feel connected to you.
yeah.
And it's like so beautiful to see that relationship unfold.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's we were talking about earlier in our intro how the journey of self-love comes from all these different experiences that you've had throughout your life. And it's not until you get to a certain point that you realize that you have to start putting yourself first, right? Because you put so many other people before you that you just lose yourself completely without even realizing that you've lost yourself. And, we were talking about something so simple as a manicure, pedicure, or reading a book or having a glass of wine, but there's some people that don't know how to find or to start that journey, right? Because they are caught up, or they just have lost that aggression to fight harder for themselves. What do you tell people like that?
Well, sometimes, and I remember that space, I looked through my pages, my pictures, I looked through my pictures and I see my own transition, my own transformation. I remember when I was like in the darkest space, even like whenever somebody would, like my sister, right, she would drag me out. She's like, we're going to go get our nails done. And, and even then, when I wasn't even, let's say, financially in the right space, I'm like, I can invest $25, on a drink, right? That's tax and tip included, or I can invest $25 on my nails. That's going to make me feel good, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like a lasting pleasure over a very short pleasure.
Right.
And I remember just getting my nails done and my hair was still looking crappy and I was dressed in sweatpants, nothing, no makeup, but I felt so good. It just felt so like there was this like little tingling feeling inside my stomach that I was like, wow, like I did this for me. And it was also empowering because I chose to do this for me, right? And even I've gotten used to getting my nails done.
That's right. It's so important.
Yeah.
It's religion.
Yeah. It's little accomplishments. Like I forgot who it was that said it. I don't know if it was Steve Harvey or I forgot who it was that said it. And they said, I make my bed every morning. I have to. It's just something.
A pet peeve.
It's a pet peeve, and yo odio, pero odio getting into a bed que esté todo like, and it's all warm and it's not inviting to me. I don't care who, if the finest man is laying in that bed. It's not inviting to me. Because the sheets aren't, crisp and laid out. They're all like wrinkled, and now I gotta fight with the sábana and the cuito to try to separate the two. So I heard somewhere that they said your first accomplishment should always be making your bed in the morning. Something as simple as making your bed, right? You just accomplished your first task of the day. And that is just like a trickle effect on the rest of your day. You just started your day with an accomplishment, as opposed to just rolling out of bed and, just continuing with your day. Finish something first, and that's just the first start of you finishing so many other obstacles throughout the day.
And it's crazy because even just doing that, sometimes, even if you don't have anything else to do in your day, it feels so empowering, because then you look back and you're like, I did that. And it's a good feeling, I get those a lot because I don't really like to fix my bed in the morning. So when I do, I'm like, ooh, I did that. But
No,
the bed is fixed.
Sorry.
No, my husband is like that. He's the one that fixes it. So I'm like, all right, I don't have to stress because I know it's his pet peeve. So he's going to do it,
Right. Listen, you got to compromise, right?
That's right.
It's so funny. It's just something that I feel. I mean, we're all pretty neurotic in our own way. That's a whole other episode.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think it's those little things that, even if it's not something complicated, I think it's just those little things that push us forward. Like, okay, at least the kitchen is clean and the dishes are put away. And, I think those little things just start helping you build for other bigger challenges that you have within yourself, that are harder, to create that self-love. And I've been there. I think now I'm going through that self-love journey, and it was a hard detachment, like you said, right? Because I had also had resentment from my mom and, things like that. And listening to your affirmations from other people. And it's just like, okay, I'm not alone. Like, everybody goes through this. Some people have it harder, some people don't, but everybody goes through this process.
Healing takes time. I've always told you.
Yeah.
Healing just takes time. It doesn't happen overnight.
I agree.
It's okay.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful process, and we do love ourselves a little bit because we love ourselves enough to apply for a job because we feel like we're worthy of that position. We're worthy of getting ourselves a house or an apartment. So we love ourselves a little bit, right? But we just need to learn how to love ourselves like 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. And it is a very painful journey, but it looks so different for everybody. It might look, for some, it might be just getting your nails done or your hair done, right? But it's the commitment that every day you're gonna do something that prioritizes you, and then the next day it could mean you're saying no to everybody, right? That usually calls you for errands, to fill out, I don't know, papers, to translate.
Salud, you hit it on the nail.
Yeah. And that feels good. It's so empowering, right? And that little by little, like every single day of little bits of empowerment from these little actions, like it creates this like giant ball of like result, right? And you just start to feel powerful inside.
Yeah. That's
Amen.
That deserves another drink.
Yeah.
It's true. We were talking about that on our last episode. Our last episode was about giving advice and taking advice, and how some people give advice, but it's not coming from a good place, and it could be draining, right? The same way as you say, when people call you and I need this and I need that, and that could just be as equally as draining.
It is, because, already I'm a life coach, right? And I have like all this expertise and I have these trainings, and then it's like the family gets really comfortable to call to vent. And after a while, I'm like drained, and I'm asking myself, why am I so drained out? And then I have to do like, I literally have to do an inventory of what in the world I spend my energy and time during the day that might have caused me to just be at the tip end, right? And then I'm like, oh, but my mom called me, to vent. Like my cousin called me to vent. My girlfriend called me to vent. And I spent how many hours? And I'm like, oh, and and even though I felt bad, I had to, ask my mom. I was like, Mom, like, I know you call me, but I feel like lately all you call me is to just vent. And I was like, I would like to just be a normal person in your life. I just want to be your daughter. I don't want to be anybody's life coach when I'm like off life coaching duties.
Right, 24/7.
Yes, I'm like, I just want to be a human. I just want to be Jennifer, just chilling on the couch, like sipping wine that I don't have right now.
Well, you can always have wine with us. Don't worry, Jennifer.
100%. 100%.
And then having to be outspoken, like, you know, because I wasn't raised to be outspoken, and
Right.
it might be I might offend my mom, which she did take offense to it, but I was like, well, it's either she gets offended or I get burnt out.
Right.
And if
We had an episode on that too, growing up Latinas, what we were allowed to say and what we were not allowed to say.
Right.
Yeah, and that all ties into like the self-care, right? Because even though it might feel so hurtful and painful to, you know, have to put somebody in their place, but I also have to protect myself, because if I'm not good, then I'm not being a good mom.
Right.
I'm
to your kids.
I'm a crappy wife, because my husband knows. He's like, oh great, who did you fight with today? You know, and it keeps like, it's a domino effect. So I had to, I'm like, guys, and I literally, this is sad, but since November, December, January, until I want to say April, I didn't pick up on any of my friends. I'm like, text me.
Wow.
Like, nobody's allowed to call me. Like, I felt like I went into like this moment where I just feel like I couldn't no more.
Right.
And I was like, if you need me, just text me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear. I don't want to spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours talking about who hurt you. And it's like repetitive. Like, you're still going through the same situation. I keep giving you the same advice, and I'm getting
Right. And you're still doing the same thing. Then
Yeah,
why am I talking to you?
And I told them, I was like, look, I'm really sorry. I'm going on a sabbatical. You guys, I'm accessible via text message, but not phone.
Right.
Now
So
it's
Jennifer,
Awesome, actually.
I just
Cheers
have
to you. Good for you.
Cheers.
So
That is-
necessary.
That is part of your own self-care, right? So let me ask you a question really quickly. As a life coach, you know, when someone is going through that journey of self-care and they start to go backwards, what would you advise, or how would you push them to keep moving forward?
That's a good question. I mean, and we hear this all the time, right? When we get on the airplane, it's like, put your mask on first. So I have to remind them, when you're all done and you're like exhausted and you're not available to anybody anymore, like, what good are you, right? Because if we're busy, you know, prioritizing everybody else because we care about everybody else, in a way, we are being selfish to everybody else, right? I can shift it. We're being selfish to everyone else if we're not taking care of ourselves, if they depend on us.
Right.
So then that's when, you know, some of them are like, oh, you're right. Like, I need to get back, you know, because I'm like, I do it with my kids, you know, I'm like, you're going to bed at 7:30. And they're like, but we want to spend time with you. I'm like, I spend time with you from 3:30 to 7:30. Like, we're good.
4 hours. 4 hours.
We're good.
Yeah. Time
Like,
is up. Time out. Se acabó.
And I have to because sometimes, you know, like, I feel bad and I'm like, you know, I want them, they're craving me, but I'm like, and I tell them, like, if they're adults, I'm like, what good am I to you if I don't take care of myself? Like, I'm going to be a cranky mom. So I'm like, so get your butt.
It's true. You're not lying to them. It's the truth.
Yeah, it's the truth. So it's the same thing, right? Like, if anybody is regressing, you have to remind yourself, okay, if the reason why you're regressing is because you're taking care of everybody else and they're your priority, and you're not taking care of yourself, you're actually failing them, because when you're no good to anybody else, you can't help anybody.
Awesome.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Yes.
That's so true. It's crazy because, as you know, and again, we've had these conversations in previous episodes. As Latinas, it's kind of like a sense of manipulation, right? Because our parents, I guess the way they grew up,
Manipulate us.
Yeah, they manipulate us and they make you feel guilty.
Yes.
Regardless.
And put fear in us. They manipulate
Yes.
us. They put fear in us. They, you know,
And
all
they
those
make
things.
you feel guilty regardless how much you give them, right? So it's like the moment you say no, that you can't do something, or I can't take
¿Cómo
you,
va a
or
ser?
pero tú no puedes, you know, or ¿cómo que tú me dijiste que no? And then I'm like, I can't. I just can't do it. You know, like, even though maybe I don't want to do it, but I can't, right? And so when you start saying no, that's when I think you have to learn how to be your strongest, because then people make you feel bad about it.
Yeah, they do. And I'm like, this is sick. I mean, if we are aware of it, then we're responsible to break that.
Yes. Break those chains.
Yeah. Like,
break those chains.
There's a reason why we're the ones that have become aware of
the
situation. And we are the ones who are also aware how toxic it is. And we are responsible to end that. Yes. As hard as it is, we were chosen. That's why we are the ones who are aware, you know?
Yeah. That's insane.
And I have a quick question. Now, you guys have been asking me, but how do you ladies, like, you know, display self-love to yourselves?
I can answer. Jennifer, my journey has been very long for self-care, but I love how I love myself. I take time for myself. I do things that I love to do, you know, going to the gym, going to like a long walk, going shopping, surrounding myself with positive vibes, positive people, you know, just setting myself, like, not being afraid anymore. You know, sometimes I used to be afraid to, oh, maybe not, because maybe I won't do so well. But now I go for it. And, you know, I take my time with it, and I feel accomplished, you know. So I love my self-care journey. I absolutely love it.
And that's beautiful, and it's powerful. You hit it like on the nail, because when, like, self-love, I mean, self-care is obviously a form of self-love, right? But self-love is, I like to call it like that. You have to use your 5 senses, right? What you're listening to is self-love. What you're watching is self-love. What you're saying is self-love. Even what you're smelling, you know, a good hello.
Yeah.
But even like who you're touching, right? Like hugs, like that's a form of self-love too. And even if you're hugging yourself or just holding that space for yourself. So that's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Definitely.
How about you,
Gloria?
Oh, I'm like, what? Well, like Jessica just said, because we had mentioned it prior to Jennifer coming on. There's so many different ways, right? And she mentioned the nails and the walks and the surrounding yourselves with people. So I'm a big family person. Like, my joy in life is being with my family, especially my kids. I have 2 boys. And sometimes, like you said, you got to be able to say, okay, I need me time. And that's what I call it, my me time. And me time could be just going to get my nails done, going, getting a facial. You know, I walk at night, and people are like, oh my God, you walk all the way from your house to the bridge. And I'm like, yeah, that's my time to me. I'm not at work. I'm not home. It's just me and, you know, God or whatever I put in my ear, you know, as music, and that's my me time. You know, but music is really important for me too. And being outside, the beach, the pool. So I try to get away as much as I can, because it's just so necessary. And God, I have a lot of faith in God, and all my ups and downs that I've had through life, which have been many. People are like, how do you do it? How do you always have a smile on your face? How you're not angry? How you don't give up? But I have a lot of faith. I'm very spiritual. I have a lot of faith, and I truly believe, like even you said it earlier, Jennifer, we're the chosen ones, and there's a purpose. God has us here for a purpose. And, you know, what good are we if we're walking around with a face or an attitude or negative all the time? What good can we do for ourselves or anyone else? So that's, you know, how I give myself self-love.
That's facts. I love that.
I feed myself a lot with God. That's why I'm so crazy.
I'm a true believer in that. You know, prayer, you know, moves mountains. And, you know, for me, I think for me, me, these past 2 years have been more of my journey of self-love. Not that I never loved myself. I think I just never knew how strong I can actually be on my own, because I always did so much for everybody else. So much for everybody else. And it wasn't until I pulled myself apart from everybody else that I realized, coño, I could have been doing this so much earlier, so much sooner, you know, but it wasn't the time. It wasn't the time because I wasn't ready, you know? So for me, it's been, I mean, I've always been like, you know, the chunky friend, but nobody ever made me feel like an outsider, right? We always all meshed in, right? We always blended in. I've always been like the party girl, but then everybody came to party with me. So I was never literally like alone to understand me. And it's the past 2 years, I think it's when I started more understanding who I am, what I want, you know, what path I want to be on, and knowing that I can get there because that's what I want and I can do it regardless what anybody else says or anybody thinks if I can do it or not. You know, and it's crazy because I've accomplished so much more these past 2 years separating myself than being surrounded by your immediate people.
And I think that, you know, all of you guys said like really powerful stuff. And even, you know, what you're saying, right? That's definitely like, you know, like self-love, obviously. But when you finally have time alone by yourself, away from distraction,
that's when you find out who you are.
You're in silence and you have no other choice but to listen to yourself, your thoughts, and what your body's asking. Like, I want this, and you've never had a moment to hear it because everybody else was talking.
That's true. And tears are so healing. Tears
are strength. Tears are healing. Tears are laughter. Tears make you crazy. You know? It's like, why am I crying and laughing? Like, why am I crying and mad? And why am I crying and like trying to look pretty? Like, you know, it's crazy. You go through all these phases and you're like, get from the house, so I don't. But I have nobody to talk to, but I'm crying by myself. You know, like it's crazy. It's so crazy. But you know, it's been amazing learning how to love myself. And I think, you know, we've been all been friends since high school. So we've been friends for over 10 years because we only graduated 10 years ago. Right? You know, so to know each other.
We're basically sisters. We're not even friends anymore.
No. That's beautiful though.
We're screwed. You know? We're stuck with each other till we're old and gray.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, what you guys have, I mean, that's a form of self-love, like choosing to be in a space where you're accepted as yourself and loved. And what you guys have is something that like a lot of people don't have. And no matter how much money they have, they can't buy it, right? It's
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
And as you can see, we're all totally different. We're different nationalities and we all just love each other equally.
I love it. It's so beautiful.
We're Puerto Rican, Colombian, and Dominican.
What? You guys have the fire mix.
Latinas, baby, we're taking over.
We are. It's been amazing to be on this journey with them, and it's been amazing to have you on the show. I hope you can find the time to come back and meet our missing counterpart, Claudia La Colombiana. And we are looking forward to, you know, continuing the Queen Warrior journey with you guys. It's been so much fun watching you guys grow and seeing everything that you guys have accomplished. I really do hope that you come back onto the show again.
Yes.
I would love it. I had so much fun.
Yes. It was a pleasure having you on. Many blessings. Continue doing what you're doing. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Yes, continue that journey, and I look forward to seeing how many more people you guys are gonna transform internally and externally.
Amen. Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. Stay there. Okay. Don't go anywhere. So we will be right back with Brillando con Gloria. We'll be right
back. Hey y'all, what did you guys think about our show today? I thought it was so cool. The self-love. We got to keep it going, ladies.
Absolutely. It was amazing. Our guest was so awesome.
She
I'm
was so
glad
good.
we got her on.
Yeah.
I
it was
hope to get her
amazing.
family in with us, you know,
Oh, that
soon,
would be
you know,
Oh,
right?
it will be amazing. It's gonna be a phenomenal explosion of energy.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And Frances, you shared a lot, and I'm so proud of you. I want to say, as your friend, your self-love journey has touched me very deeply. And you keep it going, girl. You keep it going.
Thank you. Thank you. It hasn't been easy, because self-love, you think it's like, oh, I take care of myself, right? And like I said, mani pedi, and I get my hair done, I'll go shopping and stuff like that. Excuse me.
It's
But
deeper.
that's something I've always done for myself.
So much deeper.
Always, regardless my darkest moments or how deep in depression I've been, I've always never stopped taking care of myself.
Right.
But I think I never knew how to internally love myself and just appreciate myself for me, right? I was always looking for credit for someone else, and it just comes, from your upbringing, right? If they tell you long enough certain things, you're gonna start believing it.
You believe him.
Yeah.
And it's not because they didn't care for you or they didn't.
That's just their upbringing.
That was
so
their
they pass it on.
Excuse me. My mother was an orphan, so she didn't have a role model, right? And then from where she came from, that was their way, right?
Right. That's the norm.
So, and when you grow up in a Latina household, there's always a little,
Yeah. I've always said our parents loved us the best way they knew
could.
how.
Right.
That's how they knew how to show love.
Right.
Right.
But
And
just like
that's what helped me get past the resentment.
right.
Because how can you culpar a alguien que no sabía?
that don't know
otherwise?
different.
Yeah.
Don't know different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not many.
And it's funny that you said, Jessica, that you're proud of Frances. I'm proud of you, Jessica.
Yes, I'm super
Your
proud of
journey
you.
also has been a very beautiful journey, right?
Yes.
We've seen you flourish and grow so much in the past 2 years.
Mhm.
And I'm so happy and proud of both of you.
Yes.
And Jennifer hit so many good things on the head, like how important it is for us to learn to say no, and that it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
It's okay to say, I don't want to do that, or I'm not going, or that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I want. It's okay. It's okay to be a little selfish sometimes if people want to see it as selfish when it's not selfish. It's just self-love.
Yeah.
It's just standing your ground for what you want or what you believe or what you need at the time, instead of what everybody else wants or everybody else thinks or everybody else needs.
Right.
It's so important. And she also said that we're the chosen ones, and it's so true. We're the ones that can say enough is enough. Hasta aquí llegó. We're not going to keep this going. We're going to break these chains. We're going to break these traditions. We're going to break these whatever, we know better, right? We know better. So we need to teach now our kids or the next generations to do better so it doesn't continue being what it was in the past.
And they will be better. They are better.
Right.
Yeah. Also acknowledge your faults, right? Because you can't hear me?
Very low.
Also acknowledge your own faults and take accountability for your actions, right? Because if you make a decision to do something and it's not the best decision, you can't get mad, right? If it doesn't work out in what you expected. You made that decision.
Right. You made your bed, you sleep in it.
Right. So that was also something that I had to learn, because I'm like, but that's not what I expected. But I made that expectation myself.
Right.
So if I made that expectation, that other person can read my thoughts. That other person can read my expectations. Right. And learning how to deal with my own expectations. What do I expect that I myself can do, right? Aside from what other people may had thought of me,
because then other people's expectations were becoming my own expectations.
Right.
And you know, it's been so awakening, and it's been a rude awakening at the same time. And it's like, okay, I see me.
Yep.
You know, I see me, and this show has been, I think, a way of growth for all of us.
Absolutely.
You know, I think it's been a growth for all of us. Like, you know, when I go back and I do editing and I take pieces from older shows, like our first show, I'm like, oh my God, the growth.
We've come such a way.
We've come such a long way. And, you know, like, just the fact that we don't have to do 20 takes anymore.
Right.
Just the fact that just by looking at each other now, we know who's going to speak next, or, you know, how involved we get into the conversations, when before it was like a 15-second pause between who was going to talk next. So, you know, I still have a lot of growing to do. I think we all do.
We all do.
Absolutely.
You know,
We all
but
do. That's what life is about, right? Growing, learning.
I'm open for it. As to before, I was just afraid of it, you know. Now I'm like, let's see, come on.
Bring it.
Bring it on.
Yeah, I'm thankful to Jennifer for coming on the show and just acknowledging that, excuse me, everybody goes through this journey, and everybody, you know, learns how to say no. And I think women especially, right? Because we're just people pleasers. Naturally, we just are.
Yeah.
People,
Yeah.
naturally. Especially Latinas, right? The minute somebody comes over, quiere agüita, quiere galletita, quiere quesito, quiere, right?
Right, yeah. What can I get you? What can I do for you? How
Right.
can I help you?
Right. And that's just our nature.
That's
But-
who we are.
And it's okay as long as you don't lose yourself in that. You know, so it's I'm excited.
Cheers to that.
Yeah. Cheers. I'm excited to see what's next for us and how we continue to grow.
Me
You know?
too.
Yeah. But I am super excited for our next week's guest. And guys, I want to thank you so much for watching our show. Tune in next week as we sit with creator, director, actor, and writer of the YouTube web series Bronxish, Danielle Alonso.
Ladies, you have to check out this web series out. Bronxish. Oh my God, it's like a tongue twister. It focuses on growing up in the Bronx and how she managed to chase her dreams in the boogie down. So please follow us on IG, Facebook, and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. And now you can watch us on Spotify at Wine and Wisdom. Bye.
Oye, ven pa' acá. Don't forget to take a minute to sip some wine and share a little wisdom. See you next time. Ciao.
Cheers.